Hey everybody, it's been kind of a long time since I posted last, so I thought I'd go over some of the questions I've been getting before we get started. So yes, I am still playing Eve Echoes, though not as often as I used to be. Do I still PvP? Absolutely, it's one of my favorite things to do in the game. Will I be playing other games and focusing on that on my channel? Well, if I find anything interesting that comes up, yes, I might post about it as well. Am I single? No, actually, I'm married. Thank you very much for asking, though. What political party do I align with? No, that's a little bit personal. I don't know if I want to get into that whole thing. Which came first, the chicken? I don't think that really has anything to do with Eve Echoes. So why am I a total... Okay, what is this? What is this question we're getting here? When am I going to admit the... Wait. Okay, slow down. Okay, no, wait, I can't answer... Who wrote these questions? Hello pilots, and welcome back to another Eve Echoes video. I am in my Enforcer doing a little bit of stealth in the new Malpai region, and I've come across a Chameleon and a Fiend. Now I've managed to stealth my way into their little anomaly here without them seeing me, so as long as I can avoid any of the structures, which is kind of crowded actually, and they don't come close enough, I should be able to get over to that Chameleon and pop him before the Fiend can get on top of me. The goal is going to be to wrap it up and take it out as fast as possible. That's why I'm using the medium snub nose rifles in the high slots and a rapid fire mod in the mids. Now, I'm much more concerned with the DPS of the drones than I am going to be with the Fiend. I think if I can get close to the Fiend and orbit underneath his guns, I should be able to avoid most of the damage. But we're going to have to make our way over to this other ship, which is about 89 kilometers away, without aggroing anything. I'm also going to want to try and cut off his flight path if he is orbiting at range, just so that I can get up to him faster, because we are going to have that slower speed while stealth. Well, it looks like the Fiend is approaching a little bit close here. Not sure. I don't think he can see me. I still got my cloak on, so it should be safe. But we are getting to 20 kilometers. Okay. Yeah, he's getting closer. Let's try and tap over here into the distance and cut that Chameleon off. Okay, whoa. What's going on? Hey, I'm still cloaked. No. Oh, man, that was close. Got up to about 3 kilometers on us. For some reason, he just did a really quick move in our direction. Not sure if he saw us on a warp in or something. That was really weird. Kind of a slingshot for him to do, but he almost popped us out of cloak there. Luckily, we were a little bit farther away than 2 kilometers, so we are going to be able to maintain. Let's get back on track to taking on this Chameleon and see if we can hop over to him before the Fiend or anything else aggroes us. Ideally, if we can get over to that Chameleon after he releases his drones, then the drones will have to make their way back to the ship. So right now you can see them going back to the ship here. We'll wait for him to launch them again before we pop out. And then he's going to have his drones far enough away so that we don't have to worry about... Oh, wait. Oh, what the hell? Oh, no, I lost track of the structures here. Looks like I got within 2 kilometers. And, yep, Fiend is going to start locking onto us here. There goes the bubble. Ah, crap. Okay. Well, I really need to fight my way out of the bubble here, so I am going to go after this Fiend and see if I can jump on him while the mobs are on him and maybe burst him down. As long as we can get underneath his guns, they usually have about 16 kilometers on those medium pulse, he should have a hard time hitting us and we can orbit really close, because we got about a 4 kilometer optimal on our medium snub nose. So let's get right up on top of him, lock him up, get him webbed, and do a small little orbit here. We should be able to track him pretty good at this range, so I'm not too worried about that. And even if they put any E-War on us like webs, we should still be hitting with full application. We are going to pop our high power coil implant here just to keep it going, and if we maintain it, now it's going to turn off right here. I was going to say, typically if we maintain it with that rapid fire mod, we should be able to keep that high power coil active the whole time. Now we're getting some E-War put on us by those rats. Looks like they're switching over to me, so that's going to hurt a lot. And I'm sure by now that Chameleon is going to be putting his drones on top of us. There's not going to be a way for us to get over to the Chameleon anymore because we are webbed, and I am running just an afterburner. Even if we had a micro warp drive, I am scrammed, so there's no way I'm going to get over there. Let's pop the DCU, see if we can maintain just long enough. Hopefully these rats switch back to that other Fiend. And while I'm not too worried about my capacitor, it looks like I just don't have the defense. My extender is down, DCU is about to run out. All those mobs are still aggroing on me, so we got tracking disruptors, sensor disruptors, some newts on top of us as well. Just absolutely horrible situation for us to run into, getting popped out of cloak like that. And it looks like these two have set up really well, where the Fiend is probably running the defensive mod and just tanking all the aggro up front while the Chameleon hits him from a distance. So just a perfect setup and a really horrible situation to find myself in. Wish that I would have put my web on top of that Fiend before he was able to jump on top of me and maybe kite him before I got over to the Chameleon just in case. But man, just a horrible split-second decision there. And we're into our armor, we're losing capacitor, and it looks like we're gonna go down. Still the rats are aggroing me and not the Fiend, and we're just not able to DPS through that tank. So nowhere to go, down into hole, and there we go, pop. Man, what a tough loss. It's rough because it took me so long to find somebody in Malpai, and by the time I finally did, I was outnumbered and outgunned. But good fight to these guys. They had it set up really well, and that Fiend jumping on top of me quick really sealed the deal for my ship. We'll give them an 07 in local just out of respect for the game, and we will self-destruct and head back out in a new ship. Alright, I am in my Fiend and I'm going to be jumping into the new Ego Traverse mode. This mode is going to be only for a limited time, and in the cruiser size ship there isn't going to be any money loss or ship loss. So this is just a friendly duel between a fellow corp mate, Tom Plum, the legend. It's going to give me a really good chance to do a 1 vs 1 when it's so hard to find out there in nullsec anymore. So he's going to be using his, I believe he's in a Vigilant, could be an Adrestia, not really sure, but they both operate about the same. So my goal here is to jump on him as fast as possible with the double webs and get him locked down. I do have a tracking disruptor just because I know he was going to use a turret ship, but it's going to be hard to tell if that's going to have any effect on this fight at all because I'm mostly going to be just going in a straight approach and not an orbit. Okay, so he is in his Adrestia. That's a hard ship name for me to say. He's in the upgraded version of the Vigilant. So we're going to try and approach here and get in real close. He is going to web us from a distance because of that extra web range, but our momentum should take us just close enough. Nope, still sitting at that 14, 15 kilometer. Okay, that's going to be rough. We're going to have to pop our Dragon Chant right here so that we can break his webs and get in close to put both of our webs on top of him. So this is kind of something that I like to do in the 1 vs 1s is use that to gain the distance advantage. So now that we're inside of our web range, we've got both webs on him, but it is going to be pretty tough because he does have web resistance. And I'm pretty sure he's got a high level defensive implant here. So he's going to start pulling away from us. Yep, sitting at about 12 kilometers here. He does have a tracking disruptor, and it looks like he's running the high power coil to reduce our resistances. We got him about half armor here, and it doesn't look like he's repping, but he is pulling away, and we just lost both of our webs. Okay, now we are screwed. Now there is no way for me to get back on top. I am running a medium afterburner and not a large, so I know that we're not going to be able to power through it. Hopefully we can get some good, more straight shots on him as he pulls away, because it doesn't look like he's orbiting super fast, but he is going to be outside of our range, and with that tracking disruptor on us, I'm sure our guns aren't going to be able to hit him as far as his hit ours. Yep, 2 webs on us now at range. We're not going to be able to close the gap, so it's not really going to matter how much defense I have. I could hold out and see if the zone closes to take him out before me, but that's just going to be a matter of time. And I don't think we're going to have the defense to hold out on this, especially because he's reducing our resistance with that high power coil implant. You'll notice I fit much more defensively than my typical DPS fit, so I didn't get a chance to burst him down like I would want to. It would have been interesting to see if I would have been able to get him down into hull with a couple of heat sinks instead of the adaptive shields, but then I would have also run into the problem of being bursted down as well, because I'm sure I have a lot less defense than he does. But, you know, live and learn. This is just one of those bad ship matchups. Would have been interesting, again, to see if I could have just bursted through him, but we won't get a rematch on this one. And thankfully, this is a no-loss situation. So even if I lose here, it's just for the experience. I wish that they would have introduced the betting mechanic for the cruiser size ships. Honestly, just introduce it for all size ships. That would have been a lot more fun than just having battleships be able to duel for money. Especially at the battleship level, because I think it's just so one-sided with the Cobra being dominant that it's hard for any other battleship to try and take that ship out. It just has too much of an advantage going against other battleships. But on the cruiser side and the frigate side, there would have been a lot more balance, I think. Okay, so it looks like he's going to be getting into our armor here. Once we get out of shield, we're going to go down real quick because all of our resistances are in shield. And with that zone closing in, there's not much that we can do. Even though our drone is plinking him at 29 and it doesn't look like he's repping at all, there's just no way that we can reach him or catch up. Yeah, now he's taking out the drone just in case, just to reduce any extra damage. And you can see just how fast we go down once we get into armor. Let's try and warp away. I just want to see if we can warp and what happens. Yeah, so I was able to warp away. I probably could have done that earlier in the match, but honestly, I think it would have been the same result because I'd already had my dragon chant down. And now that we're outside of the circle, the zone is going to take us down over time, and we lose. Well, good match, good fight, Tom, and thank you for the 1 vs 1.
Docking request accepted.
Alright, so let's head back out into nullsec and do our traditional hunting. I'm going to be looking for some battleships in my Fiend, and we got 2 APOC navies in this system. We're going to try and warp to them as fast as possible, but a lot of times these things just go right back to the Citadel as soon as I enter local. But just in case, it never hurts, so let's warp over to the anomaly, especially because there's 2 here. Maybe somebody's not paying attention, maybe something is broken on their warp back. Never hurts to check. And we'll warp in at about 50 kilometers just in case one of them is going up close. Looks like both are here still, so that's great news, although this anomaly is about to be finished. We'll see if a new wave spawns, but if that last rat goes down and nothing else spawns, these ships are probably going to warp away. I'm guessing that they're AI ratting at this point because they haven't warped back to the Citadel. Let's try and get over to this one and put our bubble on him before he warps away. But even if he does, we can kind of track him and see which anomaly he goes to. So we're getting about 56, 52. Okay, yeah, now he's going to warp away because we've lost our click on him. Check out that anomaly. We know which one he's going to. We can just warp straight to it. Most of the time, APOCs are going to warp in at 100, so let's warp to 100 as well. I'm not too sure where the other APOC went, but let's track this thing down and see if we can catch it before it warps back. Now, we're going to have faster warp speed than this battleship, so we should be able to get to the anomaly before he finishes his landing sequence. So even if he is actively playing, he's not going to have enough time to turn around and warp away before we get our bubble up. So as you can see, if we land here, yep, most APOCs running at about 100 kilometers. Looks like this one was at 80, which is fine because we've got a 27 kilometer bubble. Now that we've got it up, he's not going anywhere. And we'll see if he locks back. Doesn't look like he's paying attention. And if he starts firing on the rats, then this is definitely just an AI ratting ship. I think I've been seeing a lot more of those lately. I don't know if people are getting more comfortable in nullsec now that there's less players out there hunting. And we've had so many reported bots that people are not using botting as often as they used to be. So we are seeing a lot more AI ratters just running their AI out in null and thinking that they're 100% safe. And since the rats are going down and being reduced in number, I can pretty much guarantee that this is just an AI ratting Navy battleship. Unfortunately, I am in my defensive fit, which is not ideal for taking out these Navy battleships because I was hoping to get somebody on a gate, get kind of a 1 vs 1 cruiser matchup of some kind. But since we were able to track down this APOC Navy, I might as well try and take it out. We have 6 in local, so we're going to have to pay attention to that, watch for any warp-ins, and turn off our bubble as soon as possible. Hopefully no super carriers or big capital-sized ships warp in here because that bubble is, as I like to say, a double-edged sword. If you can't get it off soon, then those things are going to one-shot you before you can warp away. However, the other advantage of taking this thing out because he's AI ratting is that he's probably not reporting our whereabouts, so we're going to have to be scanned down in order for anybody to come to us. Usually, if they start locking back onto you or firing back, that means they've come back to the computer or come back to the screen, and that's when they're going to report your location and try and fleet up and get somebody to warp to you. But since this guy's not locking me back at all, we can pretty much safely just whittle him down and look out for any scan results of anybody trying to scan our location. Again, really unfortunate that I was in my small ship combat setup because my implant is actually set for the shorter focus crystal charge range, so I'm not going to get max DPS. I think I have around 17 to 1800 DPS at this time, but that, as you can see, is just going to take forever to get through the armor of these battleships. These Navy ships have just naturally high resists, and if he's AI ratting, if he has any defensive mods, they're going to be turned on automatically as well. This is why usually I'll fit offensive if I'm trying to take out battleships, or defensive if I'm trying to take out something smaller. Now, the one other thing that we can do to just try and squeeze out absolutely as much DPS as we have out of this is to do an approach instead of an orbit. That's going to make it so that our weapons track it much better. Now, even though this is a non-moving battleship and I should be able to track it pretty well, if we can get 20 to 50 more DPS out of this thing that's just sitting here, the goal is just to kill it as fast as possible before anybody arrives. So approaching it instead of orbiting it is perfectly fine. I could also turn off my afterburner, but I want to have it active, especially because we're over 50% capacitor anyway, just in case I need to run away from anything that warps in. Okay, so we've got our approach going. We'll get into a little bit closer range once he drops into hull, just so we can pick up the loot. It has to be within 10 kilometers. But sitting around 14, 15 kilometers, 16 I think is our optimal. So that should be pretty good. We get a nice straight line. Yeah, you can see he's still ratting, still spawning those waves. Definitely AI ratting. And for the record, I don't want to kill AI ratters. It's not something that I'm specifically hunting for. I'm not hunting for AFK players. I know some people have said that before, like, all I want is an easy fight, or just want something that's not going to be challenging, and as soon as something challenging comes, then I take off. But no, this is an opportunistic kill. This is something that I happen to catch, and I'm not just going to warp away because he's AI ratting. Also, honestly, it's kind of a lesson. Don't AI rat in nullsec, or this will happen. I know a lot of people who do it, they can deal with the loss, so it's no big deal for them. But if you are worried about losing your ship and you can't really easily replace it, do not AI rat in nullsec, because somebody will find you at some point, and it's going to be a tough loss. It looks like this thing's getting close to being taken down. Let's get our approach set to under 10 kilometers just so we can scoop up that loot as soon as he goes down. He's in about half hull, but he's going to take a little bit more time to take it out. Man, I missed my triple heatsink build at this time. That's fun. I might go back and do a little bit more DPS builds just for the giggles. I was having such a hard time finding battleships that I just switched over to a more defensive fit anyway. But since we've got something locked down here, this is not too bad. And again, surprised that we have so many people in local and no response whatsoever. So, all right, taking him down there. Let's grab the loot since we're right next to it. Nothing really good. Didn't get that defensive mod. We can turn off our bubble and head to a planet and wait out the combat timer.
Warp drive active.
All right, and while we are warping, we'll go ahead and open up that kill mail, see what he was running. And yep, about average 10.7 billion for an APOC Navy issue. That's about standard fit. We'll take that screenshot and head back out and look for another fight. And we're going to be doing a little bit of teaming up now. I finally was able to group up with some corp mates in a filament roam. Yes, I know it's difficult for me to group up, but we have a group of 3 here doing a little bit of filament hopping. We've got Artwick in his Tempest. I am in a Naga 2, fit for full range and DPS. And we've got Elin Starfall in the Fiend doing some scan tackling for us. Now, Artwick and I are going to wait on this gate while Elin tries to tackle something in the other system. We don't want to spook him off until it's tackled, but he's going to go ahead and give us the call to come through because he's got something bubbled up. Once we go into the zone here, we'll open up the fleet menu and we're going to warp straight to Elin there on our fleet list. Warp to him at about 100 because we don't want to land on that anomaly at 0 in case any rats are going to aggro us, and because I'm also long range fighter. Okay, let's warp in here, see if we can DPS the target down. I believe it's just a regular APOC striker, so it should go down pretty quick with 3 of us hitting it, but we want to take it out as fast as possible so that there's no response in this system. Again, I'm running a Naga 2 and I'm just in a cheap DPS fit, something disposable that I can just run to about 80 kilometers with and hit from long range with that high power coil implant. So as we land here, we're going to hit our approach to our optimal range is about 70 kilometers, and we'll just start firing him and taking him down as soon as possible. The good thing about the approach going on a straight line from our target when he's locked down is that even though we're not at our optimal yet, we can still fire at him on our way and get off some really good shots. We'll activate both of our mag stabs just for some extra DPS and to charge that high power coil implant, and once it gets to about halfway, we can go ahead and unload a little bit more DPS. Although I will say I don't think this APOC striker is going to last long enough for that to matter. With the three of us hitting him here, he is almost into hull. We're going to see who gets the kill mail on this one. Don't really need those other mid-slot items, but might as well get my cap up while I can. And we'll go ahead and get ready to warp off after we finish the target. Nice. Not too bad. Well, looks like Artwick got the kill mail on that one, so we'll see if I can get the kill mail on the next. And it looks like Elin has also tracked down another player in the same system who's ratting. I think it's another APOC striker. So we'll wait for the bubble to come down and he'll warp over there and see if we can grab him before he warps off as well. So a couple of AI ratting battleships out here in SOS space. We're going to try and take advantage of that, of them not paying attention. Usually that's kind of just how PvP goes. Either people are going to chase you off with a large ship, or they're going to be completely AFK and you're just going to pick them off. But for the most part, this is what we're running into now with Eve Echo. So we'll just do what we can and see if we can tackle him. I'll wait for the call for Elin to let us know that the target is tackled, and we'll prepare to warp over to him as well. Before I get a chance though, it looks like he's going to go ahead and just make that warp because he's fleet commander. He's going to warp us to him anyway, so I don't even need to control it. That's one of the advantages of having the fleet commander be the tackler. He can just call in that warp to the target, and it just automatically warps your ship if you're able to warp. So coming in here looks like another anomaly. We'll see where we're going to land because I didn't manually orbit that, or didn't manually warp. Looks like we're right on top, so that kind of sucks. And the APOC is kind of far away. Let's see if we can get over to him before he flies off. Elin's going to tell us don't shoot the target, but I forgot and I shot him anyway. Ideally, you don't want to shoot the target before you have it tackled, just because that AI will automatically warp him off if they get to low health. So I kind of made a mistake there. Should have waited for him to get that bubble up on top of the target. But it looks like this guy is just AFK ratting, AI ratting out here, just like the other APOC striker was. And I guess they can afford to lose a few of these ships because nobody's responding and we have pretty much free reign to take these things out. Okay, about got to our optimal range here. We've got both of our heat sinks still on cooldown from the last fight, but I am almost fully charged on that high power coil. Let's make sure we are going to be approaching directly at our optimal. Usually I like to go a little bit outside of it in case something is moving, but since this thing is just going to be staying still, we'll go ahead and just try and take it out. I think some of those NPC rats have go ahead and aggro onto Artwick, so he's taking a little bit of missile fire, but it shouldn't be too bad for a battleship to work through. And we've almost got this guy into hull. And again, it's just going to be a quick, easy, free kill for us. All three of us on top of him now. There's not much they can do once that bubble is up. And we've got our full DPS going. Let's see who gets the kill mail on this one now that we've got him down. A couple more shots. And yes, looks like I got it on that one. Very nice. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, it is just an AFK ship. I would have liked to fight something a little bit more challenging, something that kind of fought back. Maybe a faction battleship of some kind, but we'll take what we can get on our little roam. We'll pick up the scraps and head out and see if we can find any more targets. Open up those kill mails real quick. Yep, 2.2 billion on the first one that Artwick got, and 2.2 billion on the second one. So just a couple of AI ratting battleships. All right, let's try something else. All right, SOS has started to chase us with some capital ships, so we're going to go ahead and filament out. Not much we can do against Science C and Vass. Let's go ahead and take this portal here. We'll filament hop and see where we end up. Okay, we've gone from SOS to SUS, got one in local, and we're going to rely on Elin to do our scouting for us. We are going to have to hop over to the next gate just to get our capacitor back up. You don't want to be roaming around with low capacitor. And we'll check out the area we're in. Ah, yes, I know this area well. This was highlighted in my nullsec danger levels. This is one of the more dangerous pipes to be fighting in. So we'll see if we can find any good fights in the area. We might as well take it because I know that these guys have really good response. This is RTI Corporation. I think there might be another corporation down here as well, but this area is well known to just be really aggressive when you wander into it. Now, it looks like we've got one in local here, Tick6, and I don't think he's a camera because of the employment history. So we'll go ahead and keep an eye on that and see if he follows us into the next zone as we make our way deeper into the pipe. Would have been really nice for the filament to land us in the back of the pipe instead of the entrance. That's going to be the most alarm bells sound when you're coming through the entrance, but you know, totally random location, not much we can do about that. We'll try to get to one of the back zones. I know they have pretty heavy ratting and mining in those areas, although it's hard to get to and it's very easily aggroed once you get deeper. Yeah, looks like Tick6 is going to be following us. We'll see what ship he's in. We'll warp through this gate and see if he comes through as well. We can kind of wait on the other side and see what ship he's in. Oh, we got an Astero right here. Let's see if we can lock him up real quick. We'll approach, get to our optimal. Don't know if Elon is going to get that bubble off on time, but we'll try and lock on now. Looks like he went through the gate, so we weren't able to lock him up. That's just another potential scout for this area that's going to be showing people or telling people where we are. It looks like Tick6 is back, so he's definitely following us through this gate. Yep, somebody coming through the gate now. Let's see. Oh, that might have been Artwick. Okay, let's see if anybody else comes through, if he's going to break his cloak. And let's check. Okay, nope. Elon's going to tell us to go ahead and warp to Q3. So we're going to warp over to that gate. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time out here roaming around because the longer that we're out here just sitting on gates, the more time people get to group up, fleet up, and mount a response. So you want to try and get them as off guard and off balance as possible. Quick strike, hit, get something, and get out. Landing on the next gate here. Let's wait for Elon to go in and scout the next gate and see if it's clear. We'll wait for the go ahead before we warp through, and we'll also wait and see if the Tick6 player comes over here so we can see what ship he's in. No, not an Atron. That's somebody else. Looks like just a regular interceptor coming through. All right, all clear on the other side. Oh, there he is. Tick6 is in a Dramiel. Let's see if we can grab him when he comes through here. Nope, no time to waste. We're gonna have to warp right to the next gate. Elon's calling for us to come to the next gate. So we're not gonna be able to hang around and see if we can fight this Dramiel. Let's see if he warps over and joins us as well. I'm going to warp away. Not sure if Artwick has warped yet. Haven't seen him load into the zone. But we're going to try and regroup on the next gate, 3AE, and see if we can pop something. Looks like there's a coercer setting up bubbles on this gate, so we might be able to find a fight right here. Anytime you got coercers or Hictors bubbling gates, you know they want to protect what's behind it, and you know that they got eyes on you. Okay, so we got two bubbles set up here by this coercer. Let's try and lock it down real quick and pop it. We don't want them setting up any more bubbles, and we want the option to be able to warp off if we can. Let's head out to our optimal, get in a nice straight line with this target, though it doesn't look like he's really moving. We'll see if we can pop him real quick. Yep, okay, now Tick6, sorry, he's warping in here, but it looks like he didn't hit that bubble, and he's going to land right on the gate. If we can lock him up real quick, we can maybe pop him with one shot. No, okay, he's going to warp off. All right, damn. Almost had him there. Okay, that just means more eyes on us. I'm gonna get into a good position here. Oh, and we got another ship coming through. It is a Marzio. Okay, that's bad. That's really bad. We are just in some basic assault ships here. Nothing faction. We'll lock him up and see if we can burst him down with a 3 versus 1. I'm only running a medium micro warp drive though, so I'm not gonna have really good speed to get out to my optimal range. I'll pop both of my mag stabs and start laying in the DPS to charge up my high power coil, but it looks like Artwick has been tackled by this Marzio, and he's going to have a hell of a time trying to fend off that DPS. We are eating pretty good through his shields, which is a good sign because most Marzio are going to be shield tank, but I'm out of range of my Newt. I'm out of range of my partners for my capacitor and armor mods. That's not going to help them at all. And the goal at this point is just to try and DPS it as fast as possible. We really need to eliminate that DPS before we get taken out. Okay, we got another ship landing here. Looks like the Dramiel is back. Let's lock onto it just in case. We got to be ready to switch over. Don't want to get tackled with that up close because I don't have any webs. All I have is a large newt to try and get off. We are halfway through the Marzio's armor, so it's looking pretty good. And we've got the Dramiel locked up. Okay, Astero is back. Looks like we got some more coming in here. And while we are doing a good job of DPSing this Marzio down, Artwick is going to go down to the Marzio right here, and we're going to lose our big tank up front. So now it's time to warp away. That Dramiels are closing in quick. Let's activate that inertia mod and warp to anywhere other than here. Whew, just in time, got away. If either of those Dramiels would have tackled me, I would have been done. We've landed here on the gate. Honestly, I just warped away to anything on my overview. We'll bounce around a little bit more, see if we can get to the next system, and probably log out because there's just too many tackle ships out here to grab us. Honestly though, great fight. That was much more enjoyable than taking out AFK APOC strikers, and even though we lost a ship and we pretty much lost that battle, that was a lot more fun than fighting AFK players. So good fight to them, and we'll bounce off and find another fight for us.
Warp drive active.
Alright, I'm back in my Fiend, and I've set off a log-off trap on a Citadel over an AoA space for this Abaddon. It's warped back to base a couple of times, so I know it's going to the Citadel, but I didn't have a good chance to get a good aligned location. So we'll see if we get lucky here, set up our bubble when we land, and be in line with the anomaly that he's coming from. I wish I had a little bit bigger bubble. Maybe if I had like a 48 kilometer bubble like the other Hictors do, I might have a better chance of catching these things, but we're gonna have to be really precise with it. We'll scan down and see if he's still out there ratting, or if he's in the Citadel already. Let's solve this puzzle here. Yep, definitely out there ratting still, so that means he's probably on his way back, and we'll see which anomaly he comes from. Now, one thing to note is that just because I'm setting a log-off trap here for this ship does not mean he is a bot. This is going to be P-stuck in the local list here, and just because he's going to be warping back to the Citadel every time I enter the local list doesn't mean he's botting necessarily. We won't really know unless they don't lock us up if I trap him. And unfortunately, my bubble is a little bit too low here, so we just missed him coming from that anomaly. And even though you can see me trying to lock him up here as he docks, it won't really matter because the bubble is not going to prevent him from docking anyway. You would need to have Scrambler or some kind of stability, or I should say points on him in order for him to not be able to dock, and the bubble doesn't count. So we'll try and find the anomaly he was coming from and see if we can catch him again. And we'll approach to the distance of our last scan, just in case he goes back to the same anomaly, and we can get ourselves lined up for another attempt. Oh, looks like he is talking in local here though, so we'll go ahead and approach in the distance. He might target us with the Citadel here, so we don't want to be too close. We want to be outside of Citadel range, especially if he's going to undock something else. And once we're out of range, we should be pretty good to open up the chat here and see what he's saying. Yeah, let's go ahead and just warp off to that anomaly and see what he's saying.
Warp drive active.
Oh, yeah, looks like he's talking. Well, if I am a fool, you are a group of cheaters. And, stupid freaking censor. Well, he may not understand what I said there, but let everybody know that this corporation, ZBXY, this is one of the ones that I found to be botting the most. This is the same area that I found my first botting ship in, and this is one of the same systems. I think it's right next door to another system. In fact, let's go over to that system next door and see if we can catch anybody not paying attention. Honestly, this guy P-Stuck should have let his corporation or alliance know that we're in the area, so I'm not expecting to catch anybody, but let's see what we got going on. At this point, I am hoping that somebody undocks and tries to chase me because I am in my defensive fit still, and I would like to get a good active playing 1 versus 1, not somebody who just warps back to the Citadel and hides. So, okay, we got 6 in local here. This should be a good spot. Let's go ahead and log into this system and scan it down, see if we can catch anybody slacking or somebody undocking maybe on the Citadel. Maybe we can grab them before they warp away. Okay, I'll approach the gate just in case something jumps on top of me while I open up this screen. Yeah, let's pick off the first signal here, see if it's a ship that's undocked. Usually if anything's undocked, it's the first signal. Oh, we got 2 covetors, okay? 2 covetors who are either not paying attention or AI mining or have not been warned by P-Stuck next door. So let's warp in here and see if we can catch one of these covetors. I usually don't like going after these mining ships because it's not a lot of profit and it's not a lot of challenge. It's not really fun for me to fight mining ships, but after that guy's talking shit, I think these ships probably deserve this. Okay, let's land here in the mining belt. And we've got one more covetor left over. Looks like the other one warped away, but we're going to land right on 0 where he is. Let's get that bubble off, and he's going nowhere. Okay, let's pick this thing apart real quick. Got local spike here. It's up to 8 now. So we do have some more players entering this area. And again, this is one of the heavier botting areas that I have found, this A1RR system. If you're looking for bots, this one, and I think the one below it on the map, you will find at least 1 or 2 every day, usually in battleships. Although I have found orcas in one of my videos. That video where I killed the botting orca was located in this same system grouping. Okay, we got the covetor down. Let's check out the loot, just in case he was running any expensive strip miners. Sometimes you can get lucky and they can be about 20, 30 million each. No, we just got some crap here. We'll pick it up anyway. And now, since local is spiked, I'm sure that there are people hunting me. So let's warp over to a random planet. We'll rescan again and see if anybody is out here trying to find me. I haven't been scanned down, and I know I usually get that notification from a scanner. So it looks like nobody is paying attention. We've got -1 in local here. Maybe somebody just passing through. Or maybe the covetor logged out after his pod got back to the station. Okay, let's land on the planet. Make sure we double tap into the distance. I don't want to be a sitting duck in case somebody does scan me down. Yeah, asteroid cluster looks pretty good. Okay, let's scan and see if anybody else is undocked in this system. Okay, 10 signals, and we'll always choose the first one because that means if somebody is undocked, it'll be in the first signal on top there. And that means nobody has undocked. So we've got a player next door calling me out. We've got me killing a covetor in this system with a local spike, and nobody is trying to fight. So for anybody saying, hey, why are you just warping away as soon as you kill something and not looking for a real fight? I'm here, I'm hanging out, and nobody's coming out. Let's take a look at that kill mail here. Just under 1 billion for the covetor 2. Nothing too fancy. 4 inertia stabilizers did not help him get away. Let's go back to that same system that P-Stuck was in and see if he is undocked in his Abaddon, or you know what, maybe he reshipped. Maybe he doesn't want people hunting in his space and he wants to try and come out and fight and defend his territory. We'll see if he grabs something. Maybe he's in a Hictor. Maybe he's in a capital ship sitting on the gate waiting for me to come back. Let's log in here. Looks like nobody's on the gate. Let's reapproach. Get our scan going. See if he's undocked and went back to ratting. Okay, 7 signals here. We'll scan the first one down. Finish this noise signal here. And no, P-Stuck has not undocked. P-Stuck is hiding inside his citadel. So for everybody saying that I am not hanging around waiting for people to reship to come and fight me, this is what I run into. People will talk trash. People will run and hide into their citadel, and they'll either log off or wait for somebody else to solve their problems. So see you later, P-Stuck. I'll catch you next time. All right, I have fit uber defensively now. We've got that defensive mod in the mid slot, and I'm heading into Malpai. Now, one of the reasons why I usually fit offensively is because when I'm out in nullsec, I want to kill things fast so that help can't come. But since we are in Malpai, a zone that's hard to get to, it allows me the ability to fit a lot more defensively and just wear targets down. So we'll go ahead and activate our scanner here and see if we can chase any targets down in this Wayseeker Centrum. Although you will notice I did not complete the scan all the way because that's the thing that gives them the notification. If you're hunting out here in Malpai and you don't want them to know you're scanning them down, don't finish the scan. Just find the anomaly they're in and warp to it. You won't know how many ships are there, but if you have a good getaway plan, you can really catch somebody off guard without scanning them all the way down and giving them that red notification. Okay, looks like we're landing right on top of another Fiend. This could be an interesting fight. Let's go ahead and get to our optimal, get our bubble up, and get this fight on. I'm going to go ahead and approach. I'm not too worried about the DPS he's going to do, and he's bubbling me too. All right, we got bubble on bubble. Let's go. Hopefully this isn't a trap, but I have fit so defensively. I think I have around 300,000 EHP on this ship with about, I want to say 82% resist across the board, especially with that defensive mod running. I want to get into web range and I want to get him holding still. I don't need him moving around. And then I'm just going to go ahead and approach. Notice how I'm approaching at 10 kilometers, even though my optimal is 16. It's because I don't want him to get outside of that 13 kilometer web range. And I also don't want him to be able to wiggle around and mess up my orbit, or I should say my inertia, to where he can get out of that web range as well. The main goal is to keep him locked down. If he starts to move away and gets distance from us with our defensive mod on, we're probably not going to be able to have enough speed to catch up to him. The other thing you'll notice is that I have 2 tracking disruptors on me, so I'm definitely going to want to approach in a straight line. I do not want to be orbiting around with tracking disruptors on me, messing up my tracking speed. We've got both adaptives running, and we've got a large shield generator and a DCU for emergencies. But I'm just going to continue to slowly build up my implant to a max focus charge crystal range. I think it's around 90% that I have it at. And we will wear this ship down over time. I'm going to leave my afterburner on even though I'm not moving super fast, because again, I do not want him getting outside of that web range. And if he does, the only thing that I can do is activate my dragon chant to try and get back on top of him. But there's no way he's going to have longer web range than me. And I'm actually going to turn off my defensive mod. You'll see I turned it off a little bit ago because I don't want that negative speed decrease that it has to affect me not being able to keep my range within that 13 kilometers. So even though it's going to lower my defense, it is going to increase my offense and it's going to increase my speed by not having it active. And since we're winning in the shield war here, I should be in a good position. Now let's pop that DCU just to put a little bit more pressure on him so that he can't break through. Not sure if he's running any heat sinks or anything, but it shouldn't really matter. I just want to keep my shield up as high as possible as we wear him down. And we want to keep that focus crystal charged at 90% as long as possible. This fit is an absolute beast of a tank here. We've got such high resist with the extender in the with the generator, with a level 10 extender GU. I have the focus crystal implant fully charged, so if I do need to change that into extended shield, I can give myself a little temporary shield absorb boost as well. We've already activated the Dragon Roar just to get a little bit more DPS on him. And you can see he is just not able to even get us down to half shield. He's losing capacitor, whereas I still have plenty of capacitor to go because this is definitely a passive tank build. We don't have a large boost or anything. And we've just been able to maintain that 90% focus crystal charge. It looks like he's trying to swing around here and mess up my range. He's getting a little bit too close, but I don't want to adjust too much. I don't want to adjust down to 13 and have him swing out and then move out to 14 or 15. We really need to keep him under 13 and just continue our approach. As long as we can still hit him, then we can keep our focus crystal stacks going. So leave that afterburner on, keep the bubble up, keep that web on. Kind of wish I had 2 webs, but the extra resistance is also super beneficial when you're fighting multiple targets. Does look like he popped his focus crystal there for a little bit of extra boost. This extender shouldn't have recharged by now. And we are into his armor, so this looks like this is going to be the beginning of the end for our Fiend buddy here. It's likely that the tracking disruptors are coming from the NPC, and since it's such far range, I think it's about 70 kilometers away, those tracking disruptors probably not having an impact on us anyway. But it also looks like he's hitting us from a distance, and even with that, we're still able to outlast this ship. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this build is extremely expensive. I think I have it valued at, when I check the insurance, around 11 billion. So this is a very expensively fit Fiend. My nanocore contributes to that a lot because, as you build the nanocore down into the levels, it's going to increase your insurance value when you try to reclaim it. But the other thing that I have is very expensive integrated rigs in the combat side for more resist. And then I have a couple of auxiliary 4 speed boosters in the engineering side. So definitely want to maintain my range here with this medium afterburner. So I've got those expensive engineering rigs, and it looks like we've got him down into hull with low capacitor, so we're going to be able to take him out here. And that's last shot. Very nice. Okay, that was a great fight by our buddy here. And we'll pick up his loot, see what he had, and then we'll check out the kill mail after we get to a safe location. Okay, nothing super expensive. Usually I would pop the pod, but I think here I was just worried about somebody else warping in, so I just turned off that bubble, and then we'll make our way to a planet and check out the kill mail. See about how much loot he dropped here. With that homeward ticket being about 60 million, it was only about 50 million in loot, so nothing too great. Didn't look like he had a whole long chance to rat out there. Let's check out the kill mail. And not too bad, 5.1 billion for that Fiend. This was Kel Y. Honestly, a great fight from him considering it was about half the value of my ship, but it looks like a very similar build to what I was using. He's got that defensive mode in the mid slots. He did have a scram instead of a web. And checking out his rigs here, I do see some integrated rigs on the combat side and just straight up auxiliary thrusters on the engineering side. So definitely helped us to have the advantage in rigs there. And honestly, that was a great fight. And yeah, if his ship would have been as valuable as mine, it might have gone a different way. So good fight. All right, that'll wrap it up for this video. Hope you enjoyed the fights. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, always feel free to leave me a comment down below in the video or contact me at Growmeyer on Discord. Until then, see you in the next Growmeyer Games video.